Today on our channel, we're diving into the 2010 South Korean movie Human, Space, Time and Human. But let me tell you, this is unlike anything you've ever seen. Trust me, you've never watched a movie like this in your life. It's incredibly unique and highly unsettling. However, a word of caution. The film contains numerous disturbing scenes. So, kids, please skip this video. Adults, feel free to watch, but proceed with care. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And hey, click the bell icon so you don't miss out. Let's get into it. Welcome to Filmtale universe. The movie opens with a massive ship carrying around 50 to 60 passengers. But here's the catch. It's a repurposed World War II-era warship, given a quick makeover to make it look functional. We're then introduced to a sharply dressed man, none other than Korea's next president. Alongside him is his son. A gang of hired thugs soon arrives to meet him, led by a bald-headed brute. They declare that it's a great honor for the president to board this ship and promise to fulfill any of his needs immediately. The president nonchalantly agrees. On board, there's also an old man who spends his time gathering sand into small containers. When our heroine notices this, she curiously asks him why he's collecting sand. The old man doesn't answer, but smiles cryptically and continues with his task. Meanwhile, the president is given a private VIP room where three women, clearly working in the oldest profession, are stationed nearby. They complain about the special treatment given to him, demanding equal privileges. But the bald thug dismisses them rudely. Our heroine's husband intervenes, grabbing the thug by the collar. "We're here to enjoy our honeymoon, not get involved in trouble," he warns. The thug retaliates, threatening, "Keep poking your nose where it doesn't belong, and you'll end up at the bottom of the ocean." Later, at lunchtime, the president enjoys a lavish spread while the other passengers eat basic meals. This disparity sparks outrage, leading to a confrontation. The president diffuses the tension by promising, "From tomorrow, we'll all eat the same meals. Equality for everyone." For now, peace prevails, but the bald thug warns the heroine's husband once more. "Interfere again and you'll regret it." After lunch, the old man collects watermelon seeds left behind by the passengers and carefully plants them in small pots in his room. He also incubates eggs in a makeshift setup, trying to hatch chicks, and slices potatoes for some unknown purpose. The heroine watches him, puzzled by his actions. Meanwhile, the three women are seen mingling with the gang, exchanging services for money. One thug notices the heroine and leers at her. The bald thug catches this and asks, "Want her?" He dismisses the idea for now, but leaves with a promise to make arrangements. Later, when the heroine and her husband are alone, the thugs attack. They brutally beat her husband and drag him away. The bald thug then assaults the heroine, leaving her devastated. Afterward, they throw her husband's body into the sea. The thugs, showing no mercy, take the heroine to the president's room. The president smirks. "Seems like you've already finished the job for me." The president's son, a relatively kind-hearted man, takes a liking to the heroine, but succumbs to his darker instincts. While the heroine is unconscious, he commits a heinous act. When she wakes up disoriented, she searches desperately for her husband, only to discover his blood-stained shoe. Heartbroken, she attempts to end her life by jumping off the ship. At that moment, the old man appears, stopping her and placing his hand on her neck. She faints instantly. As the night passes, everyone on board drinks heavily and falls into a deep sleep. The next morning, they awaken to find the ship mysteriously floating in midair, surrounded by an endless sky. Panic ensues among the passengers as they realize the sea has vanished. But the old man remains eerily calm, watching the chaos unfold. The heroine, following the old man, discovers that the seeds he planted have already sprouted into tiny plants. Yet he remains silent, even as she questions his motives. Meanwhile, the president and his entourage confront the captain about the ship's inexplicable state. "How is this possible?" they demand. The captain, equally baffled, reveals that even the radar has stopped working. Worse, food supplies are dwindling, leaving only 6 days' worth of ration equally. When the passengers discover the scarcity, they attempt to break into the food storage. The president intervenes, warning them, "If you loot the food now, no one will survive." But his thugs brandish guns, forcing the crowd to disperse. In private, The president orders the captain to ensure he receives gourmet meals daily, regardless of the other's plight. The passengers grow restless, realizing the president and his allies are hoarding resources. They decide to search the ship for hidden weapons, suspecting there might be relics from its World War II origins. They discover grenades in a locked box. Meanwhile, the president's men distribute a single rice ball to each passenger daily while indulging in extravagant feasts themselves. This leads to another confrontation. The president smirks. Yes, we're eating better food. Anyone who questions it will be thrown overboard, and we'll take their share too. Terrified, the passengers retreat. The heroine, still reeling from her trauma, remains with the old man. She observes the plants flourishing and newborn chicks hatching. When she asks why he's doing this, he doesn't answer, only gazes at the sun with a serene smile. The heroine storms up to the president, shouting at him furiously, just as a bald thug tries to hit her. The president's son intervenes and saves her. Together, they retreat to the old man's room, where the son is equally amazed by the strange things the old man is doing. Meanwhile, two passengers secretly try to steal food from the storage room, but they're caught by the thugs. The bald thug beats them mercilessly and warns, from now on, these two won't get any food. Let this be a lesson to anyone who tries something like this. The others silently leave in fear. Later, the president commends the thug, saying, "You're doing a great job. We can control these people and starve them as long as we need to. Just focus on protecting us." But unbeknownst to him, the captain overhears this conversation through a hidden pipe. Alarmed, the captain decides that the president and his men must be stopped. The president, oblivious, gives the thug a gun and advises, "Your job is to protect me first and foremost. Use this if necessary." The heroine confronts the president again, asking, "Don't you have any humanity left? Why are you treating people so cruelly?" The bald thug tries to kill her, but the president's son saves her once again and takes her away. Elsewhere, a thug secretly gives food to a couple in exchange for money. Other passengers catch wind of this and snatch the food from the couple. The bald thug arrives and beats the offending thug senseless. The president appears and the thug apologizes, saying, "I was careless, sir." Without hesitation, the president stabs him to death. Seeing this, another thug protests, "We've followed your orders without question, but if you keep this up, we'll turn on you." The president silences him with a glare, declaring, "You better remember who's in charge." The heroine, nauseated by everything happening, suddenly realizes she's pregnant. Horrified, she suspects the child might be the result of the assault. Grabbing a knife, she prepares to harm herself, saying, "I can't have this monster's child." The old man intervenes, restraining her and tying her hands and feet. The heroine, calming down, pleads, "This is my husband's child. I won't do anything reckless. Please let me go." The old man unties her, but remains silent. Meanwhile, the thugs are taking women to a separate room, feeding them better meals and exploiting them. The president's son notices this, along with the heroine's pregnancy. Disturbed, he brings her a slice of cake to make amends, but she turns away, disgusted by him. Later, hunger drives the passengers to storm the food storage room, taking whatever they can. Enraged, the president's son kills one of the looters in cold blood. The president's son warns the others, "Put the food back where it belongs or I'll kill you all." Terrified, they flee the scene. The old man then takes the corpse to his room, cuts it into pieces, and grinds it into fertilizer for his plants. Meanwhile, the captain and his team plot to eliminate the president. They throw a bomb into his room, but the president escapes just in time. Furious, he collects all the remaining bombs and plans to use them against the passengers, saying, "Why should we share food with these people? Let's wipe them out and keep everything for ourselves." The president's son, deeply conflicted, confides in the heroine, "I don't understand why my father is acting this way. He wasn't always like this." The heroine responds, "The old man saved me multiple times. He must have a reason for keeping me alive. No matter what happens, I have to protect my..." Two of the exploited women manage to escape and run for help. Meanwhile, the president's gang uses the ship's speakers to lure the passengers into a room, claiming there's food there. Everyone, including the heroine, rushes to the room, but the old man stops her, saying, "Don't go." Inside, the passengers realize too late that there's no food, it's a trap. As they scramble to escape, they find all the doors locked. The president's son begins throwing bombs into the room, killing many. The few survivors fight back, using knives and axes against the thugs. Chaos ensues as both groups slaughter each other. In the end, only a handful remain alive. The heroine, the old man, one of the women, the president, his son, and the bald thug. The president orders, find the captain. He's the only one who can explain what's happening. Driven to madness, the president burns all the remaining food, saying, if I can't have it, no one can. Enraged, the bald thug kills the captain. Now, with no food left, the survivors are forced to resort to cannibalism. But even the corpses start to rot. The old man, unfazed, collects the remaining bodies, carves them up, and mixes them with fertilizer to nourish his plants. The heroine, horrified, joins the old man in planting seeds, realizing that survival now depends on these grotesque methods. Meanwhile, the president's son confronts his father. Everyone's dead. Does this make you happy? The president replies coldly, this world belongs to the strongest. If you want to survive tomorrow, you'll have to kill me first. Back in the old man's room, the once tiny plants are now thriving, having been fed with human remains. The old man's chicks have now grown into full-size hens. The heroine asks him, why do we have to eat human flesh? Can't we just kill and eat the chickens instead? For the first time, the old man speaks. No, we must not kill the chickens. We eat their eggs instead. That way, the chickens stay alive and continue laying eggs. Those eggs can hatch into more chicks, and one day, when we have enough, we can consider eating them. Meanwhile, the president confronts the heroine in a fit of rage. You're still alive? I'll kill you today and feast on your flesh. As he moves to attack her, his son intervenes, declaring, if you want to kill her, you'll have to go through me first. The president sneers and stabs his son, but the son had a plan. He had secretly removed bullets from the president's gun. After the second shot misfires, the president is overpowered and the heroine and the son flee. As they run, the old man calmly plants a seed in the stomach of the now dead president. Later, the bald thug searches for the heroine, finding her hiding in his room. The thug menaces a woman, threatening her into submission. She retaliates, biting his ear before he shoots her in the forehead. Furious, the thug tracks down the heroine, intending to kill her. Just as he gets close, the president's son arrives and fights him off. In the chaos, the heroine grabs the thug's gun and shoots him in the eye, killing him instantly. Without hesitation, she plants a seed in his body, following the old man's instructions. As days pass, the seeds planted in the corpses begin to sprout. The old man isolates himself in his locked room while food supplies dwindle. Unable to bear the hunger, the president's son begs the old man, please kill the chickens for us. We're starving. The old man refuses, but offers him some unidentified meat instead. The president's son continues to receive meat from the old man whenever he asks for food. One day, the son discovers the horrifying truth. The meat is from the old man's own body. He had been cutting off pieces of his flesh to feed them. When this revelation comes to light, the heroine is devastated. Soon, the old man's body is fully used up and the president's son turns his attention to the chickens. The heroine, desperate to protect them, pleads, take my arm if you must, but don't harm the chickens. They're crucial for survival. Ignoring her, the son tries to kill the chickens, but she retaliates, killing him instead. She knows the old man's sacrifices were for a greater purpose, to preserve the chickens and ensure survival. Over time, the old man's plants, including watermelon and potatoes, flourish. The chickens also lay eggs, producing more offspring. Eventually, the pregnant heroine gives birth to a healthy baby boy. As time passes, the heroine raises her son on the now verdant ship, which is transformed into a thriving ecosystem. The camera zooms out to reveal the ship, now a massive rock amidst a barren wasteland. It becomes clear that the entire world has perished, leaving only the rock-like ship as a beacon of new life. The old man's role is finally understood. He was a divine figure, or perhaps an alien, sent to ensure the rebirth of the world. The barren earth must start again, with the heroine and her son as its foundation. The ship, now covered in plants and life, symbolizes a new beginning. The story ends with the heroine's son, now a teenager, continuing to thrive in this new world. hinting at the cycle of life starting anew.